everyone. I'm Dr. Liana Lianov, and I'm the president and founder of the Global Positive Health Institute. And on this podcast, we look at all things related to healthy lifestyles, positive psychology, positive health and well-being. And today I'm delighted to have as our guest Dr. Melissa Sundermann. She is board certified in internal medicine and lifestyle medicine, and she runs that nature's subcommittee at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, so is very much known as Dr. Outdoors. So welcome, Dr. Outdoors.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be here.
Wonderful to have you. What got you into this field of lifestyle medicine, positive psychology, if you can squeeze that in, nature, all that stuff? What got you going?
Yeah, wow, it's a long story, right? But actually, my first glimpse into positive psychology, and I don't think you even know this, was I went to the University of Michigan undergrad, and I had a professor. I was a biopsychology major, and I had a professor, Dr. Christopher Peterson, who back then was one of the original positive psychology, just pioneers.
Yes,
And
I've
I had
met
those
him. I'm a fan,
classes.
and he passed away so sadly. Yes,
I
wow.
know. They have an award at the University of Michigan called the Golden Apple Award that each year the students will select their favorite professor. And Dr. Peterson got that award multiple times. So that was my first introduction to what positive psychology was. And I was a biopsych major. I was like, do I go to medical school or grad school? And ended up going to medical school. I am a DO. That stands for Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine. Also stands for Doctor Outdoors. That just is all about the synchronicity of life, right?
Wonderful.
How better. And I just always was curious about really what is wellness? How are we well? As a whole person, are we well? And throughout my career, and I continue to evolve and try to answer those questions. And I think that's where it led me to lifestyle medicine, into utilizing positive psychology. During my, you mentioned that I'm board certified in internal medicine. So I practiced medicine, gosh, it's going on over 25 years. And along the way, I did training in integrative medicine through the University of Michigan. I did a professional training program in mind-body medicine with James Gordon, Center for Mind-Body Medicine. Again, looking at tools to not only optimize my own personal wellness, but my patients as well, and how to incorporate these strategies. And where did I find out about lifestyle medicine? Well, it's kind of a funny story. Back in about 2017, I have two children. They're now in their 20s and they are launched. But when they were heading off to college, and I felt like I had a little bit more time to seek out some professional opportunities or maybe additional training. And I went to the very reputable resource called Google. And I sat down to Google and started just combining words or terms that really resonated with me. So wellness, medicine, anything that resonated with that, positivity, and the algorithm sort of figured out what I was all about and up popped lifestyle medicine. And I had never heard of lifestyle medicine before that. Brought me to the American College of Lifestyle Medicine landing page. I read about lifestyle medicine. I read about the pillars, and I literally felt like I was coming home. It was just like, this is what I have been really practicing. And for many years in conventional medicine, and still to this day, feeling like a little bit of an outlier, actually a big outlier, because although I'm conventionally trained and in internal medicine, I've done both inpatient and outpatient, I have to utilize medications and diagnostic tools and, westernized medicine. And I always knew there was a role for something else. And so when I discovered lifestyle medicine, I felt like this was truly coming home. And I've met most wonderful people, including you, through this team. And I became board certified in lifestyle medicine in 2019. And ever since then, have just really, it's helped to shape me.
Yeah, it is a home for a number of us. I've heard a number of colleagues share how once they discover the lifestyle medicine community, it's a very special, unique tribe. Of course, we're biased, but we're going to transform medicine, and this is the way to go. So yeah, so welcome aboard as we advance this wonderful field. And so share a little bit about how you're using this professionally.
So I when I was in conventional medicine, I say when I was, is that I have recently transitioned out of what we'd say conventional medicine, and really trying to, along the way, bring this to the professional community. And we are, a small but mighty group, as you know. I think we're up to about 5,000 physicians now board certified in lifestyle medicine. So that's a big number, but pretty small when you look at a million
Yes.
physicians out there. And I think that, really focusing on the pillars of lifestyle medicine and how that really attributes to us being happy, right? And increasing positivity from focusing on food as medicine. And we know that food really has to do with our mood, we're learning more and more about the microbiome and how 90% of our serotonin is actually produced in the gut microbiome. So the more that we are nurturing that gut microbiome, the happy hormone will increase. We know that moving our bodies physically, becoming physically active with those myokines that can cross the blood-brain barrier and can actually elevate our mood and happiness, how optimizing our sleep can help to turn on that lymphatic system and get rid of the tangled proteins and toxins that have built up during the day and help our mood. Social connection, the more and more that we're learning about that, I think that became so evident during the pandemic and during lockdown, where we just could not be with our community, with our tribe. And we all felt this sense of just something was missing. And I love it that the Surgeon General right now, Dr. Vivek Murthy, this is really, he's really grasped on to connection and showing, the evidence of what happens when we're socially isolated or when we're lonely, and how that, can have an impact on brain health, can have an impact on actually mortality. And just hearing the statistic that, being socially isolated and lonely could be the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes per day, which is terrifying. And of course, my real love is nature and getting outdoors. And just by getting outdoors, how we can elevate our serotonin levels, how we can balance our cortisol levels, how the early Shinrin-yoku forest bathing studies showed that we boost our immune system, we lower our heart rate, we lower our blood pressure. So really what I'm doing in my clinical practice is trying to educate and empower my patients about these pillars. We know that 80 to 90% of our chronic diseases, so high blood pressure, high cholesterol, coronary artery disease, chronic kidney disease, obesity, dementia, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, are actually lifestyle driven. So I think that it's such an exciting time in our field right now, because we have so much to give to our patients, to all individuals, in order to elevate and optimize their health. And that's really rewarding as a healthcare practitioner, that I have these tools.
Amazing. Yeah, you just summarized all those pillars and all of their benefits in just a few moments. Hurrah. Um, uh, and then, as you well know, I'm a real fan of positive health, which includes all of that, plus these more positive psychology-based activities and approaches. And so I'm wondering how and if you're including those as well. And then that makes the broader area, or more of a journey and a destination of positive health that we're promoting.
Yeah, so I think that absolutely, with the stress management pillar, I think we can put in happiness and positivity in that, and really giving tools and small actionable items of just things like gratitude, right? Of, keeping a gratitude journal, thinking about ways that, three good things that happened to you today. Finding, digging deep and being introspective. What are your strengths? What brings you joy? What is your why? And really having, I can't figure that out for anyone else, but really asking individuals, asking my patients, like, they'll have a patient who's like, well, I need to lose weight. And then you're like, okay, well, why? Well, I've got a wedding coming up, or what's your why? Well, deeper, right? Well, I I've been looking forward to walking my son down the aisle since he was born. Okay, get to that why, and just really getting to the meaning of, yes, there's happiness, but really it's about what's the meaning and purpose and all of those things that go into being connected, and of service and of gratitude, and little things that we can do each day to inspire that. And when I did the professional training in mind body medicine, learning about all of these ways of guided imagery, of mindfulness, of breath work, ways that we can connect to our inner self to really tap into that joy and that happiness where that really sits.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. The heart of the heart of the heart is
Mhm.
right here, our
Yeah.
inner true north. So
Hmm.
well
Hmm.
said.
Yeah.
Uh, And I usually ask our guests what their favorite approach is. I'm pretty sure I know your favorite approach. It's the outdoors, but tell us more about that, how you use that in your personal life and any other of these healthy lifestyles, positive psychology approaches that are really helping you these days.
Yeah. So I think creating healthy habits. Behavior change is really difficult, right? It absolutely is. And we see that when we're, helping with patients or clients, is that people oftentimes know what they should do, but it is actually implementing that and really breaking down these habits to be tiny habits that are attainable, that there are sustainable. And so when I look at my daily life, there are just routines that I just have created happy habits for. One of them is moving my body, and I try to move my body most days. If I'm injured, absolutely not. If I need extra sleep, listen to my body. If it's really really nasty out. However, I do have a saying: "There's no bad weather, just inappropriate clothing." So, I I own pretty much everything so I can get outdoors. So really trying to move my body. So whether that's going for a hike, whether that's going for a bike ride, whether that's going for a jog, um, going outside with, taking a walk. I really try to move my body. I love Rich Roll has a very simple quote, and his quote is mood follows action. And I
Mm.
think a lot of times we may be in a certain mood and we say, well, I'll do X when I feel like it, right? And if we can reverse that and say, well, I'll do X now, and then you do X, and then you feel better. So I always try to remember that mood follows action. So sometimes it's really, as they say, like when you look at physical activity, one of the hardest things to do is, walking out the front door or opening the door to the gym, right? Because once you start moving your body, I always feel better after I do it. And the majority of times I am doing that outdoors. And the science and research behind daily exposure to nature and fresh air is, it's been out there. It's growing. It's very intuitive, yet many people don't realize the impact. And I think modern technology and modern conveniences are amazing. Here we are on a Zoom call. I love that, we're able to connect, that we're able to do so much now. But we've really lost that connection with the outdoors. And the EPA did a study a number of years ago and looked at Americans, and the average American only spends about 7% of their day outdoors. The rest of the time is spent inside buildings of homes, workplaces, schools, stores, or transportation, automobiles. So really trying to get people to spend more time outdoors. The nature dose is about 20 minutes per day. That's where we can really see the impact. And we talk about positive psychology. We see elevation of well-being scores in getting outdoors, of decreasing feelings of anxiety and paranoia and OCD, decreased feelings of depression. And just so I really make it a point to get outdoors to practice mindfulness when I'm outdoors. And I love utilizing the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is really utilizing all five of our senses, really tapping into that mindfulness, being present, of focusing on at first five things I can see, then shifting to four things I can hear, three things I can touch, two things I can smell, and maybe one thing that I can taste. Not so much, rarely do I taste things when I'm out there unless I know it's safe. So, um, you know, those two are really key for me. I have two dogs, so I get oxytocin through hugging my dogs, and they need physical activity, so that also helps me. I think when we are trying to break down barriers, a lot of times I'll be like, take your dog for a walk, and people tend to sometimes care for their pets more than they care for themselves, right? So it's like the dog needs to walk. So that can be really good. Um, I think just finding ways throughout the day to make connection. So often, especially a lot of people who are working remote, we lose that connection. So that could be just as simple as when you were at a store and you're checking out, of actually looking the person who's checking you out or preparing your food in the eye, right? Seeing them as a human, making that connection, maybe having a little bit of small talk. It goes a long way, right? That gives to both sides. Trying to, call or text. I know texting takes away some of that human connection, but sometimes like that can, if that's all you have time for, that can be efficient. Trying to nurture my body with a plant-powered dietary pattern. We know that that can be really good for elevating our health and well-being, trying to get sleep. So those are the big things, and practicing gratitude each and every day. I love your book I've got here, and I love that
Thank you.
and I've used the gratitude prescriptions, both
Mm.
personally and professionally, that, thinking of this as a daily medication that you take of practicing gratitude, of really being aware of that each and every day.
Yeah, you hit on an important part, which is it doesn't even have to take more time for some of these approaches, especially those positive psychology approaches, other than just shifting our attention. Just a
Yeah.
little shift in attention can make a world of difference if we're not able to get outside or move or
Yeah.
something that is preventing us from doing all those wonderful healthy habits in that moment. Just yeah, reframing is can cause magic. Just standing up and stretching, of course, and those
Yeah.
two
And
things, you know.
right. And I think what you're saying too is you look at mindset, and I love just little shifts of mindset. Instead of thinking or saying, I have to, shifting that to I get to. I had a perfect instance this morning. My young adult daughter is back in town. She needed some oral surgery. And so my husband took her to the surgery, and then she needed to get some medications picked up from the pharmacy, which we live in the woods. So it's like a half an hour drive. And instead of saying, have to drive a half an hour to go get these prescriptions for her, I said, you know what? I've got flexibility in my morning. I get to. We get to be there. Our daughter, who's now in her 20s, rarely, do we get to, smother her with love because she lives in a different state. She's home. So I get to. So I think that mindset really does matter. And those small little shifts can really give us just a different tune to ourselves.
Yeah. Yep. And it can, these little things can result in big boosts throughout our
Mhm.
day. So I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, I love it. So we have a lot of followers who are health professionals in various roles, and they're thinking about healthy habits, positive psychology, positive health, well-being, of course, for themselves, and looking for ways to restructure their practices or their approaches with patients so that they can help their patients do all these terrific things we've been talking about. So, any advice, words of wisdoms for our healthcare colleagues?
Yeah. So, I think the barriers are pretty obvious, right? As a primary care physician of over 25 years, time is of the essence, right? Or lack of time is of the essence. So I think that it can be challenging in a lot of medical settings that people think, oh, just one more thing I have to do, my goodness. And so it is just looking like what we've said of just these bite-sized little tiny things of, I think that it is so much more get so much more satisfaction from a provider standpoint to actually give tools to patients, and for patients or clients to receive tools, right? To empower and, to get away from this authoritative sort of, here's your prescription, take this pill, do this, do this, do this, come back and see me in 3 months, rather than, well, we're like, what do you think that you want to work on? Let's pick one thing, and really using SMART goals, right? So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time. Well, I want to start exercising a little bit more. Okay. What do you like to do? Well, I walk, but I don't know if that counts. Absolutely, that counts. Do you think you could walk twice a week? Yeah, I could probably do that. Do you have a confidence level of 7 or above? Yeah. And really coming up with a plan. I did this, I have many patients I've done this with, like, start off 2 days a week, walk around your block 2 times on Tuesday and Thursday, ask friend Mary to join you. And that doesn't take very long, right, with a patient. And then, to build on that and to see, an individual feel like, hey, they come back like, what you asked me to do, I was able to do it. Not only was I able to do it, now walking 3 times a week. Doing better than I thought. So I think that tiny steps and really I want everyone to become board certified in lifestyle medicine. I think that it has been a tremendous gift. We hear a lot about healthcare burnout, and I think that, there's not a lot of, at least for me, and I speak personally, of, seeing patients, patient after patient, just refilling prescriptions and not feeling like I'm putting Band-Aids on things rather than really giving tools. And so I think checking out whether that's lifestyle medicine or integrative medicine or functional medicine, of looking at the whole person, checking out your website, with the Global Positive Health Institute, of just learning how we can elevate the health and well-being, not only for ourselves, but for our patients. So it doesn't have to be transforming your whole practice. It can just be, or asking your patients, hey, how about a gratitude journal, right? Or next time I see you, what's a goal? Like, what's a real goal that you want to, and let's help you achieve that. Whether that's, I want to go kayaking down the Osable River, or I want to, be able to go visit my granddaughter in Texas. What is your goal that you want to do? And let's work towards getting you there.
Yeah, it's yeah, back to those tiny steps that as we're advising our patients to take tiny steps so that they can be successful, and then in the positive psychology lens, celebrate all those successes along the way. We can do the same thing in our healthcare roles and our healthcare practices, just tiny shifts in how we practice, how we speak to patients, work with patients, so that we can have those early successes of shifting the needle in our approach to medicine as healthcare providers, and to celebrate those successes, even if not everybody gets board certified in lifestyle medicine. And I
Yeah,
agree,
right.
it's a good thing. There are many little things any provider can do to make a
Yes.
difference, and it's
Yeah, and I
satisfying
think
for them as well as the patients.
right. And I think it's believing in our patients. I remember when I was studying for my board exam, I was at work, and another brilliant clinician, said, why are you doing this? Patients don't change. And I was like, very honestly, from my heart, I said, yes, they can. If we give tools and empower and belief, and we actually believe it can work too. Yes, they can. And I have seen it time and time again, of people really optimizing their happiness, their belief in themselves. And so I think that, don't lose sight of that. And I hope that if this clinician could see me now, he'd say, oh, I was wrong.
Yes. Oh, terrific. Well, earlier, thank you so much for the plug on the Roots of Positive Change book. We're actually working on another edition this fall. What are some of your other favorite resources in lifestyle medicine, positive psychology, well-being, whatever it may
Yeah.
be that can
Yeah.
help?
Well,
And it
your
can
book.
also be health professional books, but also some personal general books as well.
Yeah. So I just want to make a plug for your book, Roots of Change, positive change, because what I love about your book is there's just so many actionable, like, I was going through it again this morning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, there's so many resources, and it's so organized to be able for a busy professional to be like, oh, I got to look up something. It's right there. So you've done a fabulous job. And that was the first
Thank
time I
you.
saw the actual prescriptions for gratitude, for mindfulness practice. And we actually try to do a similar thing for the group I was with before. We're like, oh, this is such a great idea of patients will take it seriously if it's a prescription and we sign it. And then I also love Barbara Friederson's
Yes,
Positivity. That's
yes.
great. I think some other books that I love, and I talk about this with nature, is Wonder and Awe. And this is Jeffrey Davis, Tracking Wonder. And when we were little kids, we were full of wonder and curiosity, and nature was really a conduit for that. I grew up in the 70s, so I had my Schwinn bicycle with its banana seat, and we'd go digging for worms and catching fireflies and building tree forts. And it was just all about discovery. And I think as we get older, just we have got responsibilities and jobs and raising families. And so we get pretty set in our ways or routine and nature can be a conduit for exploring and feeling awe and feeling wonder. All it takes is to be outside. And this happened to me this morning. I was getting ready to go for a run and I stepped outside and the most beautiful sunset, the palette, the gorgeous hues of the pinks and purples and that's just, it takes you by surprise and it's different every single day. And it feels like a gift, even though I know that anyone else who stepped outside would see that too. But for me, it felt like this very special personalized gift. So I love really tapping into that feeling of awe and wonder. And I know like listening to a beautiful piece of music and there's other ways of looking at art but I think nature is a wonderful way. So another book that I love, and this is another colleague, Janet Olmsted wrote The Playbook. And again, talking about how as kids, like this was natural. We knew how to have fun and laugh and play. And as adults, we think that we have to, be very serious. And we know with the happiness, how laughter yoga can be really beneficial. And it feels good to laugh. And so just tapping into that we can be playful as adults. That doesn't mean that we're immature, that it's okay to be childlike and have fun. So those are, some books I love our pioneers of lifestyle medicine, Dean Ornish and Undo It, and James Gordon has some wonderful books with his mindfulness. John Kabat-Zinn, I just have to say, he was my introduction to mindfulness, and I think was really intimidated to read his books until I started reading them. And I said, "Oh, he says I can wash the dishes, and that's practicing mindfulness." And so I tell that story, that example with my patients of how, do you wash the dishes ever? Yeah, every single day. I said, do you realize that that can be a meditative and really enriching practice? And so I describe what this is all about, and they're like, wow, okay, I'm going to try that next time. So, and I've got my favorite, nature authors, Dr. Or Richard Louv, who wrote The Nature Fix and Vitamin N, and Florence Williams, who also wrote a wonderful book. And so my nature people, my positive health, and my tracking wonder. So those are and again, I won't go through all our lifestyle medicine, but Caldwell Esselstyn and Joel Furman, and I mean all of you know our pioneers out there. So there's
You've
great.
mentioned, thank you. You've mentioned some wonderful gurus across the spectrum, and yeah, some of those books are amazing, amazing resources. So, but thank you for
Yeah.
holding those books up too. That's great. That's a little visual here. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, as we're closing this brief podcast, what's one piece of really important advice, something that you would like our listeners to take away from our time together?
I would say that 1% better. It's to be 1% better each day. I think that oftentimes we're black and white thinking, all or nothing, and 1% better. That, and it's never too late or it's never too early to make changes. And I think utilizing those two key principles, I know for myself, that really helps. I'll give you an example. I'm in my mid 50s, menopausal. This is all about, bone health and as your body changes and trying to optimize my muscle, lean body mass. And so I know I need to do more of that. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to start doing planks. And what I started is I said, I'm going to do a 1 minute plank each day because I knew if I did anything more than that, I'd like set my mind up and I would find a million excuses that I couldn't do it. I don't have time. It's too hard. And it's been successful because it was 1% better. And that's all I have to do. I have to take 1 minute out of my day to work on optimizing, my own body and health for the future because I don't want to fall. I don't want to break a bone. These are things that are important to me to be functional, and hopefully one day I'll have grandkids I can play with. And so, that's how I approach it, is 1% better, and it's never too late or never too early to make positive behavioral changes and work towards a life full of happiness and vitality.
Terrific advice. The 1% is something I don't think of it in that way, but yes, tiny, tiny steps that you
Mhm.
say, I can do this, I can do
Yeah.
this, I can change my life through these tiny steps. And no matter when is the other one, no
Mhm.
matter when we can
Yeah.
start. And yeah, I love it, love it, love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this GPHI podcast, Dr. Melissa Sundermann, and hopefully we'll have you back again sometime to give us some more updates on your evolving career and what you're doing to help all of us to advance for everyone beyond even the lifestyle medicine community to be healthy and to be happy. So thank you for your
Thank you
work
for
there.
having me, and thank you for all you have done. As you mentioned, the Nature is Medicine subcommittee is actually housed under the Happiness member interest group that you started. So without you and your efforts, I would not be able to do what I'm doing as Dr. Outdoors. So with gratitude, thank you.
Thank you. With gratitude back. And also gratitude to our listeners. Thank you for joining us. Please subscribe to our channel, and we hope to see you on another one of these episodes. And in the meantime, be safe, be well, wishing you joyful health. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.